Hello, my name is Megan, and I'm a forecaster with the National Weather Service in Great Falls, Montana. And this is what I like to do when I'm not at the desk forecasting the weather. Being in the outdoors can be a fun, exciting, and even relaxing experience, but sometimes bad weather can turn a nice day into an unpleasant and even threatening situation, especially if shelter from a storm is not nearby. When spending time in the backcountry, you can never be completely safe from weather hazards, but you can mitigate the risk. And this video will review how you can stay weather aware and safe while spending time in the outdoors.
The first thing you should always do is plan your trip before you head out. Planning ahead can help you take appropriate precautions to avoid getting caught in adverse weather conditions. Check the National Weather Service point forecast for the area you are going to, but be aware that weather can change rapidly, especially in mountainous areas. If the forecast indicates a higher risk for thunderstorms, let's say 30% or more for the day of your trip, your safest plan would be to postpone your trip. However, if you must go, here are some safety tips. Always notify family or friends where you are going and when you plan to leave and return. Travel with a companion. Always carry an emergency first aid kit and extra clothing that can keep you warm and dry. A battery-powered NOAA All Hazards weather radio is also useful to alert you to weather hazards even when in remote areas. Most importantly, consistently observe the sky and other weather elements such as temperature and winds, noting any changes. Think about how the trend of the current conditions may impact your outdoor activity. For example, if your day starts out sunny, but you notice towering cumulus clouds and darkening skies in the afternoon, this can be your first indication that a thunderstorm may be developing or approaching, and you should begin seeking a safer location, such as your hardtop vehicle parked at the trailhead. Seeking shelter in a building or a hardtop vehicle isn't always an option in the backcountry. If you are caught on the top of a hill or a ridgetop, then you'll want to get off of that ridge as quickly and safely as possible. Stay away from isolated trees, rock outcroppings, or other tall objects. If you are in a forest, stay under the shortest trees. Avoid water, wet items, and metal objects, and remember that a tent offers no protection from lightning. Lastly, if you are out on the lake or river and skies are threatening, get back to land as quickly as possible and find a safe building or vehicle. As I mentioned earlier, you can have a better understanding of what type of weather you may encounter when out in the backcountry simply by observing the weather. Cloud bases that get progressively lower towards ridgetops or the ground often indicate that precipitation is about to occur. Similarly, clouds with tall vertical towers and possibly flat anvil-like tops can be your first indication that a thunderstorm is nearby, and it's time to consider finding a safe location until the storm passes. It is also important to note that the sound of thunder travels about a mile every 5 seconds, and lightning can strike as far as 10 miles away from a thunderstorm. A good rule of thumb is that if you can hear thunder, you are close enough to be struck by lightning. You can even estimate how many miles away a lightning strike may be just by counting the number of seconds between a lightning flash and crash of thunder, then dividing that number by 5. Here is an example. There were 5 seconds between the flash of lightning and crash of thunder. Divide 5 seconds by 5, and that equals 1. So the lightning strike may be 1 mile away from you. Again, this is just a rough estimate to determine how far away a lightning strike may be. Stay in a safe location away from tall trees, ridges, and open areas for at least 30 minutes after you hear the last clap of thunder. Though tornadoes are less common in the western U.S. and Alaska compared to the plains, Midwest, and southeastern U.S., they are still possible and can occur quickly. Some tornadoes may not be visible due to heavy rain or hail wrapping around it. Here are some signs that a tornado may be approaching. Look for a dark or greenish-colored sky, a large, dark, low-hanging, and rotating wall cloud, and a loud roar that sounds like a freight train. If you are outdoors with no nearby safe shelter, avoid areas with many trees, lie down flat on low ground, and protect your head with your hands. Stronger thunderstorms can also produce straight-line damaging winds and large hail. These situations are more complicated when out in the backcountry, and that is why it is always important to check the weather forecast before you go and adjust plans accordingly if the threat exists for thunderstorms. However, if you are caught in a situation where very strong winds and hail are occurring, get down low, avoid areas of falling trees and also exposed areas. Also, keep your head protected from falling hail.
I hope that you enjoyed this video and that these tips will help you be prepared for the next time you are venturing into the outdoors.